Okay, I'm going to start this morning by just officially welcoming all of you guys. Sawadee Kap, Sawadee Kap. Welcome to Wat Tung Yu. Nice to see all of you guys this morning. Today is our third day of a 5-day course, and I realize some of you guys are just here maybe for the morning because you're coming in for the Wednesday class, which is completely fine. You're welcome to come and go as you please, and if you'd like to stick around, you're welcome to stick around as well. We're going to start our class today with some meditation to help you guys understand meditation, and then today's topic is true love, love without attachment. This is a topic that oftentimes the unenlightened mind doesn't understand, true love. So as long as you don't understand true love, you're going to have challenges practicing true love. So therefore, you won't have the experience of being able to have true love coming to you. And when true love is coming to you, you won't be able to identify it. So I'm going to help you guys to understand what true love is so that you can practice this more and more in your relationships and produce harmonious relationships. That's the title of this course. It's called Harmony in Relationships. It's helping students to understand how to build harmony in their relationships. And you wouldn't be able to produce harmony in your relationships without understanding true love. So I'm going to help you to understand what this is. And you might find that your current understanding of love isn't actually true love. And then after that, we have some other topics that we're going to be discussing throughout the day. So if you guys would like to stick around, I'll let you guys know about the different topics as we go. So I'd like to welcome everybody here, and those of you guys that are joining us online as well. Welcome to everyone. For those of you guys that are here, there's a bathroom in the back of the room, the very last door on the right. You're welcome to use that at any time. We even have bathrooms outside the classroom. If you follow the main signs to the main temple bathrooms, there's lots of bathrooms over there. We even have water that is provided by our students. If you would like to help yourself to water at any point, feel free to make yourself comfortable. As I mentioned, we're going to start with meditation, and Steve handed out these daily chants that we do. We start our meditation with chanting. Chanting during the lifetime of the Buddha was done as a way to commit the teachings to memory. Everything that he taught was oral. So every 2 weeks, his students would come together and do chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. We don't need to use chanting in order to commit the teachings to memory anymore. We have books, videos, podcasts, things like this to be able to accomplish that goal. I still do chanting as a way to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. We chant in this Pali language, which is the language that the original teachings are captured in. But these chants, if you read the English translations, there's a lot of admiration and gratitude and respect for the Buddha. I suspect that his students actually created this either during his life or after his death, because a Buddha has eliminated their ego. An enlightened being has eliminated their ego. There's no arrogance or pride or boastfulness, measuring or comparing, putting yourself above people or below people. So the Buddha wouldn't have gone around and taught people to chant these to him, but I suspect that his students, having learned how to move from sadness, anger, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, boredom, loneliness, shyness, resentment, jealousy, all these discontent feelings, to this enlightened mental state where the mind is peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy permanently for the rest of your life, I suspect they had a lot of respect and gratitude for him. So they probably created this either during his life or after his death as a way to honor and respect him. In the teachings of the Buddha, there is no rites, rituals, ceremonies, or worship. This isn't prayer or anything like that. Literally what it does is it helps to kind of invigorate the mind and kind of bring some awareness to the breath so that you can ease into the meditation and actually get more benefit out of the meditation. So you're going to hear me chanting this, and you guys are welcome to chant along if you'd like. Then I'm going to provide some guidance as we get going in the meditation so you guys can hear as we're meditating how to actually meditate. Then there'll be a period of time where we'll just be meditating together. Everyone here at the temple and everyone joining us online will just be meditating at the same time. I'm sure you'll hear the occasional dog bark or maybe a bird chirping or a car going past. So you shouldn't expect perfect quietness. That's not actually possible. Because of impermanence, things are constantly changing. Silence is not permanent. You'll hear some different things at different times, but you'll hear in the meditation how I guide you to handle that so the outside world isn't affecting the inner world. Then we'll come out of the meditation with some more chanting to kind of ease out of the meditation. And then from there, I'll move into today's topic, helping you guys understand true love, love without attachment. So in terms of your body positioning for meditation, the Buddha taught 4 different body positions. He taught seated, lying, standing, and walking. These 4 positions are used at different times for different reasons. And most people are learning in the seated position. That's how they get started. But you'll probably need these other positions at different times as well. You could sit on the floor. You could sit in a chair. It's really up to you. Make yourself comfortable. If you're ever in any pain during meditation, you'd like to adjust the position or change to another position, where that's why we have lying, standing, and walking for these reasons and others. If you're on the floor, you might sit with your legs just lightly crossed. You're not interested in being real tight because that will inhibit the circulation. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets the hips up in the air and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles. So you could do that if you like. And then with the hands and the arms, the Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If you'd like to do this, you're more than welcome to, but it's not about everybody doing it exactly the same way. This isn't actually possible because all of our bodies are different. We're going to find different things to be comfortable. So if you'd like to use this, you're welcome to, but there's other options too. You could put their palms on the thighs or on the knees. You could put your palms up. Some people like to just rest their palms in their lap. So whatever you find comfortable, the lower body and the hands and arms should be relaxed and comfortable. And if you'd like to have a chair, oftentimes people just sit with their feet flat on the floor or lightly crossed at the ankles. And again, with your hands and arms wherever you feel comfortable. The upper body should be erect. This keeps the mind attentive and alert during the meditation, whereas if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid, the mind might be overactive or uptight. So you'd like the upper body to be in the middle where the mind can be attentive and alert during your meditation. So again, I'm going to ease into meditation with some chanting, which you guys are welcome to join into, and then I'll be back with some guidance to help you guys understand the meditation. For those of you guys that have been here in the course, we've been doing loving kindness meditation, but today I'm going to do some breathing mindfulness meditation, and then this afternoon we'll do the loving kindness meditation again. Okay? Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakewa Bhutang Mahakewanhang Apivateyami Sawakato Mahakewata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakewato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Mahakewa Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Puri sa Namasati satatawa manusaram Oto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled. Just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathe in gradually through the nose, establishing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that the mind moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you focus on this work. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมะเกวาพุทธังมะเกวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเกวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเกวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสานามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังโอโตภะคะวะติ Okay, if you'd like to just slowly make your way out of meditation. Okay, once again, I'd like to welcome all of you guys. Welcome to Wat Tung Yu, everyone that's here and everyone who's joining us online. Welcome to everyone. Today is a third day of a 5-day course where I've been teaching students how to develop harmony in their relationships. And after we do meditation, we move into a topic that we discuss related to this particular course, which is harmony in relationships. But before I get into this morning's topic of true love, love without attachment, some of you guys, this might have been the first time you've been meditating, or maybe the first time you've been meditating with me. So I'd like to share a little bit with you about meditation before we move into this topic. If you noticed a bombardment of thoughts during your meditation, or if you noticed that you had a thought and you kind of indulged in that thought for a period of time and then you realized, oh yeah, that's right, I'm meditating, and you needed to bring your mind back, this is completely normal. That your mind at this point is untrained, it's undisciplined, it's not possible to fully control your mind, and it's not possible to be an expert at meditation the first time you try. So I would encourage you not to expect that your mind's going to be perfectly peaceful the very first time you meditate, or even the 10th time, or even the 100th time. It's going to take a lot of meditation to get to that peace, the calm, the serenity, the contentedness, the joy that is the enlightened mental state. So if you notice the bombardment of thoughts, or if you indulge in a thought for a period of time, and then you realize that you needed to bring your mind back, you're not bad at meditation. You haven't done anything wrong. It just shows you that your mind needs more training, that it's not well trained or well disciplined yet, and that's completely normal. Also, I'd like to share with you that the goal of this meditation, it isn't to eliminate your thoughts. Sometimes based on the guidance that the Buddha gives and the guidance that I share based on what the Buddha shares, to cut off your thoughts and let go. Sometimes people think the goal is to eliminate your thoughts. As long as you're alive, you're going to have thoughts. You need those thoughts. It's important to have thoughts. But the thing is that you'd like to be able to control the mind and discipline it. Where in the unenlightened state, where you might get bombardment of thoughts or you might indulge in a thought during meditation, by the time you get to enlightenment, you're still going to have thoughts. But the difference is that you'll have occasional thoughts and you'll notice it right away and you'll be able to easily let it go. And in between your thoughts, you'll have this peace and this calmness and this joy that's in the mind in the enlightened state. So even an enlightened being is going to have occasional thoughts during the meditation. They're just not going to have a bombardment of thoughts, and they're not going to indulge in a thought and follow it for a period of time and then realize, oh yeah, that's right, I'm meditating. Let me bring my mind back. What's happening in this meditation is you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities and you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities. The unwholesome quality that you're eliminating is what's called craving, desire, attachment. This is the mental longing and strong eagerness. This is where the mind chases after the objects of its affection. It has certain wants, it has certain expectations. And if the mind gets what it wants, it gets pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But these are conditional feelings that you only experience them based on some condition. And then when those conditions don't exist, the mind moves to this painful feelings like sadness, anger, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety. So in the unenlightened mind, due to craving, desire, attachment, this longing and yearning, the mind's going up and down and up and down. We're going to talk about this here in a moment. And this is one of the core central problems in the unenlightened mind. So this meditation, you're learning how to restrain your mind and pull it back so that you're not experiencing those painful feelings and these conditional feelings that are experienced in the unenlightened state. But it takes time to train the mind to be purified of this particular unwholesome quality. And then there's certain wholesome qualities that you're cultivating, like mindfulness and concentration. The mindfulness is awareness of mind, where you can have awareness of your mind, because in the unenlightened state, an individual typically doesn't have awareness of what's going on in their mind. And this journey to enlightenment is to purify the mind. So if you don't have awareness of what's going on in your own mind, you're not going to be able to purify it. You're not going to be able to observe certain wholesome qualities and certain unwholesome qualities in your day-to-day life. So in this meditation, you're cultivating the ability to observe the mind and notice what's going on in the mind. This is called mindfulness or awareness of mind. More specifically, you need to develop what's called the 4 foundations of mindfulness. This is what you develop as you get going further on the path to enlightenment. But just for this conversation, I'll just share that mindfulness is awareness of mind. And then you're also developing concentration, which is focus or clarity of mind. This ability to be able to focus on one object. Like in meditation, you're focused on the breath. But in daily life, you'd like to have focus when you're in a business meeting, or when you're in a phone call, or you're spending time in a class like this. You'd like to be able to have concentration and focus. So if you're exercising the mind in meditation, you'll build these qualities of mindfulness, awareness of mind, concentration, be able to focus and have clarity, and be able to restrain the mind when you see that the mind's craving and longing and yearning. So in meditation, it's just like an athlete goes to the gym and exercises, you're exercising the mind. And just like you clean your body every day, you need to clean the mind each day. If you're not paying attention to the mind and you're not cleaning your mind, you're not really taking care of this entire being who you are now. You're maybe taking care of the physical body, but you're not taking care of the mind. So the Buddha teaches tools and techniques of how to train the mind to get to this enlightened mental state where the mind can be peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. And meditation is one of the things that we do in order to train the mind, but it's not the only thing. You wouldn't be able to just meditate your way to enlightenment. One of the biggest myths about the life story of the Buddha is people think he sat under a tree, he meditated, and instantly got to enlightenment. But this isn't actually true. You need gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. And you know this to be the truth because everything you've ever done has been that way. Whether it's learning to read and write English and speak English, it's been gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress for all of us. Even if you're a native speaker, it's been the same way. Gradual training, gradual practice and gradual progress. Whatever job or occupation you do, it's been gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. So this meditation is gradually training the mind to cultivate those wholesome qualities of mindfulness and concentration, and to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. So that's why in meditation, you're cutting off anything and everything that comes up, because you're exercising the mind. But then in daily life, you're only cutting off the unwholesome qualities that arise. If you have a wholesome thought, like maybe you'd like to call your mom and check in and see how she's doing, go forward. No reason to cut that off in daily life. So we're training in meditation in one way, but we're doing something different in daily life. If you have a thought of taking your friend out to lunch and practicing some generosity, go for it, right? Go do that wholesome thing. It's just like a professional athlete. I could be a pole vaulter and I could go into the gym and do weight training, cardiovascular training, agility training. But then when I come out of the gym and I go do my sport, it's going to look completely different than what I was doing in the gym. The same thing is true about your meditation. The meditation looks a bit different than what you're doing in day-to-day life. In day-to-day life, you're just cutting off anything unwholesome that comes up in the mind, like anger or sadness or frustration or any of these other discontent feelings. So when you're out and about in the world and you're noticing the anger and frustration arising, if you've been training your mind in meditation the way that I'm sharing, you can cut that off and let it go, and it won't plague your mind. And then eventually, if you do this enough in meditation and outside of meditation, with the other training, you'll get to the point where anger never arises. By the time you get to enlightenment, it's impossible for your mind to ever experience anger, frustration, sadness, the frustration or agitation, irritation, the guilt, the shame, the fear, the stress, the anxiety, the boredom, loneliness, the shyness or jealousy, any kind of resentment or hostility or bitterness. Even the slightest displeasure is eliminated. You don't even have the slightest ickiness in the mind. Your mind will be focused, you'll have concentration, clarity, deep memory. You'll notice that your personal and professional relationships are really blossoming because you're not being hostile and bitter and harsh to people anymore. And therefore, that's going to all come back to you. If you're bitter and harsh and hostile to others, people are going to treat you the same way. By the time you get to enlightenment, you're not even in a bad mood anymore. You've completely eradicated all the conditions that are causing the bad mood to arise. Because now with the mind being fully purified, you can experience the peace and joy for the rest of your life in this enlightened mental state. It's physically impossible for the enlightened mind to ever get angry ever again. So this is just a little bit about the meditation. And the way that an individual gets to this enlightened mental state is not through belief. The teachings of the Buddha aren't about believing a bunch of things and then hoping something good happens when you die. You're learning teachings now, you're investigating them, you're examining them, and then you're reflecting on those teachings to independently verify whether they're true or they're false. And then you're practicing teachings in order to transform your mind and uproot certain pollutions in your mind so that then you can be liberated and experience this freedom and this joy from these discontent feelings. So what you're working to do on this path to enlightenment is acquire wisdom. You're not just believing a bunch of things. You're not doing rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship. The Buddha didn't teach a bunch of rules and commandments. And if everybody follows these rules and commandments, then the world will become peaceful. He didn't teach the way the world should be. He taught the way the world is. And by understanding the way the world is, now you will navigate that world more readily. He taught what's described as the natural laws of existence. Because when you exist in a world that you don't understand, you'll struggle. You'll have difficulties. That's what that anger and the frustration and the agitation and all those other discontent feelings are. That's your mind having difficulties because you live in a world that you don't fully understand. When you understand the natural laws that the Buddha taught by learning about them, by reflecting on them to see whether they're true or false, and then practicing, you can arise wisdom in your mind, and now you can navigate this world and you can be at peace and you can be joyful because you understand the world around you. So this is what the teachings of the Buddha are all about, is purification of the mind, understanding these natural laws. And as you do this work, this inner work to change your own mind and improve the condition of your own mind, you'll experience improved results in your life. So I'm going to move into this topic about true love, love without attachment. And as I go, I'm going to pause at some different times in order to open up to any questions that you guys might have. For those of you guys here at the temple, if you guys would like to ask questions, we have microphones here in this white bowl that you're welcome to use, because that way we'll hear you here at the temple, and they'll also hear you online as well, because we have many students who are joining us online. The microphones, they have a little gray switch on the front. You just press it, and then you'll see the light come on, and you just wait a second. And then you just hold it up to your chin, and then we'll be able to hear you here, and they'll be able to hear you online. For those of you guys online, if you would like to ask questions, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom. Or in Zoom, if you electronically raise your hand, then you can open up your microphone and we can hear you here at the temple. So I'm going to share this topic with you guys to be able to help you understand true love, love without attachment. In order to help you understand this, I need to kind of share a little bit of what's called the Four Noble Truths. This is a core fundamental teaching that people learn when they first start on the path to enlightenment. And for people that have already studied with me, they've already studied the Four Noble Truths in detail. I usually walk students through that. But here, to help you understand true love, I need to refresh people's memory of a little bit of the Four Noble Truths, just the second and the third Noble Truth. But for those of you guys that haven't studied the Four Noble Truths with me, this will be a good opportunity for you to understand a little bit of the Buddhist teachings. Because as I mentioned, the Buddha isn't explaining the way the world should be through rules and commandments. He's explaining to you the way the world is. So he's explaining to you in the Four Noble Truths what's the problem in the unenlightened mind. The very first Noble Truth, he explains how everyone in the unenlightened state is going to experience these conditioned feelings. That sadness, anger, frustration, irritation, annoyance, the guilt, the shame, the fear, the boredom, the loneliness. These things are all very painful to experience at different times in your life. And there's other feelings in the unenlightened mind too. These are called conditional feelings. There's pleasant feelings, there's painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant. So for example, if you wake up in the morning and you see it's sunny outside, you might get happy or excited. Or if your bank account is a certain balance, you might get happy or excited. Or if your mom calls you today, you might get happy or excited, right? These are conditional feelings. Based on some condition, you're going to experience this happiness or this excitement. These are very pleasant to experience. But the problem with conditional feelings is that they're temporary. They are impermanent. They arise, they change, and then they fade away. So if you base your inner feelings on the sun or your bank account, then that means when those things change, your mind's going to end up in the sadness or the anger or the frustration. So if you base your happiness on whether it's sunny or not, the sun is impermanent. So that means your feeling of happiness is impermanent too. Your mind's going to end up in the sadness or anger or frustration when it rains. Or if you base your inner feelings based on your bank account, that it's a certain balance, that means when it drops below that, you're going to be sad or frustrated because your bank account is impermanent. It's not going to be at one permanent level. So if you form your inner feelings based on some condition, then you're just setting yourself up for painful feelings. As soon as you get that conditioned happiness, that conditioned excitement, then you're going to experience the painful feeling at some point when that condition changes. By the time you get to enlightenment, you're experiencing the permanent mental qualities of peace and joy. This happiness is permanent. It's unconditioned. Where in the unenlightened state, you might wake up and see it's sunny outside and get so excited. And then when you go take a shower and you come out and it's raining, you might get sad or frustrated. In the enlightened state, you're already happy before you saw that it was sunny outside. And now when you see it's sunny outside, it's like, sweet, I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to call my friends. Maybe we'll go out and have some fun and go hiking. And now you go take a shower and you come out and it's raining. It's like, all right, well, it's raining. Maybe we'll go to the mall. Maybe I'll invite my friends over for dinner. Maybe I'll stay home and read a book. No big deal. It's raining. Okay. Sun's impermanent. You didn't form your inner feeling based on the sun, so therefore you can maintain your joy. In the enlightened mental state, you're always happy. You're never experiencing that pain and the sadness and the frustration and agitation and annoyance. So this is the problem in the unenlightened mind, is that it's going up and down and up and down and up and down. You have periods of peace here and there, but it's only a matter of time before you become annoyed or frustrated or disappointed or jealous or envious or having bitterness or hostility in your mind at some point. So that's the first noble truth, is the Buddha is explaining to you these discontent feelings are the problem. In the second noble truth, the Buddha explains that the cause of this problem is craving, desire, attachment, the mental longing and strong eagerness, the chasing after the objects of your affection. That craving, desire, attachment is, if you've ever been in the mall and you were walking through the mall and you saw a brand new pair of shoes and you're like, oh, brand new pair of shoes. Yes, yes, yes. I can't wait to get those shoes. Oh, this is going to be so great. Or new phone or new computer or new set of clothes or a new friend, or if you really wanted a boyfriend or girlfriend and you're really longing and yearning for it, or you really want that new job and you're longing and yearning for it. It's not the job itself. It's not the boyfriend or girlfriend itself. It's not the pair of shoes. That's not the craving, desire, attachment. It's inside the mind. It's how the mind falsely believes and has the misunderstanding that this external thing is going to provide some kind of lasting satisfaction. So it tends to latch on to it. It thinks that the next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide some lasting satisfaction. So the mind chases after it. And when you get it, you get those conditioned happy feelings, right? Those conditioned pleasant feelings are there for a period of time. And those feelings arise, they change, and then they fade away. And your mind's right back in the sadness. So if you get so excited that that new pair of shoes you see in the window at the mall, and you're so excited to get them, and then you went inside and you said, hey, I would like this particular size. And they come back and they say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have your size. You'll be frustrated. You'll be agitated or annoyed, right? This is the unenlightened mind not getting what it wants, so it ends up in those painful feelings. So the cause of this is the mind's craving permanence. It's wanting things to be permanent. So for example, if you've ever been in a relationship with a boyfriend or girlfriend, when you guys first got together, you probably had all these pleasant feelings. Somebody's showing you affection, someone's calling you or sending you a text message, they're inviting you out to dinner, you're having great conversations, maybe you're going to walks in the park, maybe you're sitting down and getting to learn each other, maybe you're even having intimate contact. You're having all these pleasant feelings based on the condition of having this boyfriend or girlfriend, right? But now over time, this relationship falls apart and you guys separate. And now the mind is angry or sad or frustrated, or you're feeling bored or lonely or disappointed. This is because the mind's craving for this relationship to be permanent. This relationship was always impermanent, but the mind didn't understand that universal truth of impermanence, that everything around you is impermanent. This physical body is impermanent, the weather is impermanent, the bank account is impermanent, your relationships are impermanent. People have been coming and going in and out of your life all through your life, and they will continue to do that all throughout your life because they're impermanent. But when your mind craves permanence and you're wanting this relationship to be permanent, when you guys broke up, you felt sad or angry or frustrated. The same thing occurs in relationships when somebody dies. If you've had somebody close to you, like grandma or grandpa or mom or dad or brothers or sisters or friends who pass away, when you were grieving and you were sad, this is because the mind was craving permanence. If grandma and grandpa are alive, you get what you want and you feel happy, you feel excited perhaps. But then when they die, you feel sad or lonely or bored, or you're feeling grief. It's not the love that's causing that grief. That's not what's causing love. I'm going to explain to you what love is in a moment. It's not the love that's causing the grief and the sadness when people die in your life. It's the mind craving permanence, wanting them to be permanent. And when the mind doesn't understand these natural laws, you don't understand that all these things are impermanent, that because they were born, they had to die. There's no way around that. But the mind wants to hold on to grandma and grandpa permanently, wanting them to be permanent. So when the unenlightened mind experiences this impermanence with its craving for permanence, it's not getting what it wants, so therefore it experiences sadness or anger or grief or some other discontent feeling. The same thing occurs like if you've ever been at a wedding and you've had a brother or sister get married, or maybe a cousin or a nephew or a friend. If you grieved at a wedding, this is the mind craving permanence, wanting things to be permanent. You're not a bad person if you're grieving at a funeral. You haven't done anything wrong if you're grieving at a wedding. It's just what the unenlightened mind does because it's untrained. It lacks wisdom. This person's getting married. They're going off into the world, and the mind doesn't understand impermanence. This represents this person leaving me. They're going off into the world with this other person. They're not staying with me. The mind's craving for this person to be permanent. And now when they go off into the world with this partner, now the mind can grieve and be sad at a wedding. If you weren't sad at a wedding, you might have saw other people who were experiencing tears and sadness or grief at a wedding. And the same thing can happen if you've ever been dropped off at university, or you dropped your kids off at university or college. You might have noticed there was grief and sadness there, right? Or like if you remember all the way back to when you went to kindergarten. I don't know if you remember back that far, or preschool. The first time you went away from your parents for this extended period of time when you went away to school. You grieved because you were craving this permanence. So oftentimes we think that it's love that's causing this grief around relationships. And this is the misunderstanding about love that I'm going to help you to understand. Oftentimes people think that it's love that's causing the sadness or anger when somebody is breaking up in a relationship, or when somebody dies. You might think that it's your love that's causing you this grief and sadness. And because of that, some people think that love is very painful, and they're almost afraid of love, and they're not interested in getting into another relationship. But it's just the lack of wisdom of what true love is, and training your mind to understand this true love and practice it, that you have maybe had challenges having fulfilling and sustaining and satisfying relationships. But when I share with you what true love is, and you learn this and you practice it more readily, you'll be able to have more fulfilling and more sustaining, more satisfying relationships if you practice it and you get better and better at practicing it. Because it's not going to be learn it once and then snap your fingers and you're going to instantly be able to practice this. You're going to need to gradually learn it, understand it, and practice it. So this second noble truth, the Buddha is explaining to you that your mind is causing your own discontentedness. It's your mind causing your own anger, your own sadness, your own frustration. In the unenlightened state, we think that other people are causing us to be angry, that other people are causing us to be sad and frustrated. So what we do in the unenlightened state when we lack wisdom is when you experience those painful feelings, you might have pushed people away out of your life, or you might have pushed the situation out of your life, thinking that this is going to solve the problem. But this doesn't solve the problem, because whenever you've pushed people out of your life, you just get agitated or annoyed again. It's just a matter of time. Right? Again, you're not a bad person. It's just that the mind doesn't understand what it doesn't understand. The mind's falsely believing, it has this misperception, this confusion that the problem is outside of yourself. So you think that maybe if I push this person away, that will solve the problem. But if you look at your life, it doesn't solve the problem, because it's only a matter of time before you get agitated or annoyed again. If it solved the problem when you push that person out of your life, you wouldn't get angry anymore. But that's not the problem. That's why when you push them away, it didn't solve the problem. Or the other thing that the unenlightened mind will do when it misunderstands the problem is you'll become bitter and harsh and hostile towards another person. Right? This is through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. Those painful feelings are feeling uncomfortable for you, and you're associating that with this other person or this situation, and you think that they're causing you to be angry. So you might feel justified in your anger. So you might become bitter and harsh and hostile towards somebody. And now you damage your relationship, and that person might choose to leave out of your life. So if you didn't push them away, they might choose to leave out of your life. Or the third thing the unenlightened mind will do when it's misunderstanding the problem is you'll put your expectations on people, and you'll try to control people and try to get them to do things your way, because the mind thinks if I can just get my cravings fulfilled, I'll get those pleasant feelings. So if I can just get mom to do what I want, if I can just get dad or brothers and sisters and life partners and children, if they just do it my way, everything will be perfect in the world. But the problem is that there's 8 billion people in the world. You can't train 8 billion people to do things your way. It's just not possible, right? So if you keep pushing people away, you keep being bitter, harsh, and hostile, and you put your expectations on people, you're not going to be able to live harmoniously with all people. They'll choose to leave out of your life. So by understanding that your mind is causing your own discontent feelings, this is very empowering. Because if you understand that you're causing your own discontent feelings, then that means you can eliminate them. If it's everyone else that's causing your painful feelings, then that means you have no ability to ever get to peace or joy. because it's everyone else that's causing these problems in the mind. But if you can understand that your mind is causing these discontent feelings, this is very empowering, because now you can actually fix it, because it's within your own mind. And that's what the Buddha is doing with his teachings. He's giving you the tools and the techniques of how to train your mind so that you can completely eradicate all these feelings in the mind. But as long as you continue to believe the problem is outside of you, you'll never fix the problem. You'll just continue to be angry or irritated or annoyed or disappointed your whole life. So you can learn through investigating the teachings of the Buddha, you can reflect to independently verify, and you can practice to see the truth. So what I just shared with you, where I'm sharing with you that your mind is causing your own discontent feelings, and it's because of craving, desire, attachment, don't believe what I'm saying. Don't ever believe anything I say. Don't believe anything that I write in books or anything. Learn it, reflect on it, to independently verify, and practice. So here's how you reflect on what I just shared, because I shared with you craving, desire, attachment is causing your discontent feelings. Think about a recent time where you've been angry, where you've been frustrated, you've been annoyed or agitated, or some other discontent feeling. Look at that situation. It might have been this morning, it might have been yesterday, it might have been last week. At that time, you might have been looking for someone to blame. This is the typical way that the unenlightened mind does, is we look around and we try to blame it on somebody else. But that was in the past. Now, in the present moment, you've got more wisdom, perhaps. You're maybe starting to see true reality a little bit more. Look at that same situation. What was it that your mind wanted? There was something your mind wanted. And if you would have got it, you would have gotten pleasant feelings. You would have been happy or excited. But because you didn't get what you wanted, you experienced anger or sadness or frustration, or you were annoyed or some other discontent feeling. There might have been more than one thing, right? And if you have trouble seeing this, let me know. Because I've had students say, I went to work the other day and my house looked exactly the way it always looks. And I left and I came back 10 hours later. My wife had this craft project all over the house. The house was a wreck. And I walked in and I got frustrated. How did my mind cause this? I wasn't even there. How did my mind cause this? And then I have to help them see, your mind's craving permanence. You wanted the house to look permanently one particular way. And when you came back, it looked different. And your mind didn't like that change. Because the same way to say that your mind craves permanence is to say that it doesn't like impermanence in the unenlightened state. So this person's mind, when they came back, they saw the change and they didn't like this, right? Their mind got frustrated because the house can't permanently look one particular way. It's just not possible. So your wife has this craft project all over the house. Okay, she's doing some work, but that's not permanent. She'll eventually put it away, right? Maybe you'll help her, right? So if your mind craves permanence and you want this house to look permanently one particular way, when you come home and it doesn't look that way, you'll be angry, you'll be frustrated, and you might be bitter and harsh and hostile and damage your relationship with your life partner. So you can get to the point where you start to realize what's going on in your mind, and you can start implementing the training to transform this. Because hearing what I'm sharing with you and maybe reflecting on it here and being able to see that your mind is indeed causing your own discontent feelings, that by itself isn't going to solve your problem. You need to train your mind to eliminate all your cravings, desires, attachments. That's what the third noble truth explains in the teachings of the Buddha, where he is explaining that to eliminate your discontentedness is you need to eliminate your cravings, desires, attachments. When you eliminate this mental longing and strong eagerness, that's what will free the mind of its discontentedness. Meditation is one of the practices that we do, as you guys heard me share, that helps you eliminate craving, desire, attachment. And then there's a practice of generosity. Generosity is the giving and sharing of more than is strictly required in any given situation without any expectation of anything in return. This is sharing your time, your effort, your energy, and your resources. Because when you have craving, desire, attachment in your mind, you'll tend to hold on to things and you'll tend to be somewhat selfish. But when you share, when you give and share, you're living open-handedly and you're training your mind to let go. And this will help you to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. The meditation is helping you to do that, as well as the generosity. So the third noble truth is helping you understand that you can eliminate discontentedness by eliminating craving, desire, attachment. And then the fourth noble truth is explaining to you that the eightfold path is the way to completely eradicate this discontent feelings, completely eliminate the pain of anger and sadness and frustration and all these other discontent feelings. This is something that I taught on the first day of this course. These are 8 individual factors that you're dialing into your life more and more closely, so that then you can train your mind to experience more and more of this peace and more of this joy. So I needed to share this with you so that you understand what's causing these painful feelings in your relationships. If you didn't understand what was causing them, you wouldn't actually be able to eliminate them. And like I mentioned, oftentimes people associate the painful feelings they're having in relationships to love, right? If your mom gets sick and you feel pain because of that, if you feel sad or frustrated, oftentimes people think that's love. Or if you've experienced a breakup in a relationship and you feel angry or sad or frustrated at the end of the relationship, you might think it's because you love this person. But that's actually not true. You probably do love the person, but it's not the love that's causing these painful feelings. What's causing the painful feelings is the craving, the desire, the attachment, the longing, the yearning, the wanting things to be a certain way. The mind in the unenlightened state is misunderstanding craving, desire, attachment as love. So this craving, desire, attachment is masquerading around as love. So for example, in the unenlightened state, we might meet a brand new person. We might spend a little bit of time with them for a few weeks or a few months. And we get to a point where you might look to them and we might say, I have fallen in love with you. I've fallen in love with you. Right? And then we go for a period of time in our life with that relationship. And then we get to a point where we say, we need to end our relationship because I don't love you anymore. I've fallen out of love with you. Well, if you understand what true love is, which I'm going to explain in a moment, you can't fall in love and out of love with people. It's not possible. What's truly happening is you met this person, you spent some time around them, you started noticing certain things that they did and do, and they're meeting your expectations. They're meeting your cravings, desires, attachments, your wants, the things you want them to do. They're meeting your expectations. They're calling you. They're sending you text messages. They're taking you out to dinner, perhaps. Maybe you're taking them out to dinner. You're having great conversations. They're meeting your expectations. And now when they're meeting your expectations, you say, I love you, right? And now you might say, because I love you, I want you to be with me. I want you to be my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my husband or my wife, right? And then over time, as this relationship changes and they're no longer meeting your expectations anymore, you say, I don't love you anymore because you're not meeting my expectations. You're not adding that part, right? But that's actually what's truly happening, is because this person is no longer meeting your expectations, they're no longer doing what you want them to do, you say that I don't love you anymore. But this is craving, desire, attachment masquerading as love. What the unenlightened mind is essentially saying is, I love you, therefore I want you to be with me because you make me happy. This is very self-centered. This is selfishness, right? And the mind just doesn't understand that I love you, therefore I want you to be with me because you make me happy. But this is craving, desire, attachment. What you're really saying is, you're meeting my expectations, therefore I want you to be with me and I want to be around you for a longer period of time. And when you stop meeting my expectations, I'm going to leave you and I'm going to walk away from you because I don't want to be in this relationship anymore because you're not meeting my expectations. Okay, so this is craving, desire, attachment masquerading as love. The love is being misunderstood because it's really craving, desire, attachment. It's this attachment, wanting things to be a certain way. And as long as you get what you want, you get those pleasant feelings. And when you're not getting what you want anymore, you get these painful feelings. This is the craving, desire, attachment masquerading as love. But what true love is true love is where you say, I love you, therefore I would like to see you be well. And you're there to support them. You're there to encourage them. You're there to perhaps give them advice or guidance as they ask for that. But you don't put your expectations on this person. What an individual will do when craving, desire, attachment is masquerading as love is you'll put your expectations on people and you'll try to get them to do things your way. And as long as you do that, the person feels pressured and they might choose to leave out of your life. because you're putting all these expectations on them, wanting them to be a certain way. So when you can practice true love, which is, I love you, therefore I would like to see you be well. And whatever you need to do in order for you to be well, I'm completely comfortable with that. You make your own decisions and I'll make my own decisions, and we'll both be completely content with that. Right? When there's craving, desire, attachment in the mind, you might go to your partner and say, hey, do you want to go to the movies? And they say, no, I don't want to go to the movies. And you're like, oh, come on, you're a party pooper. Let's go to the movies. Come on, let's go. Like, you can only be happy if they go to the movie with you, right? And when they don't go to the movie with you, you think that they don't love you. They don't love me, right? That's not true. It's just that they're not interested in going to the movies. And if you keep pressuring them to go to the movies, either you're going to be unhappy because they don't go, or they're going to eventually relent and they're going to go, and then they're going to be grumpy as they go to the movies with you, because they're not getting what they want, which is they would like to stay at home. So if you put your expectations on someone and try to control them to do things your way, they're going to feel pressured, and ultimately you guys are going to have difficulties. So part of somebody being well and loving somebody as they are, because that's what true love is to love somebody as they are, not wanting them to be different, not expecting them to be different, but just loving them as they are. Part of that is to not put your expectations on other people. This is why we have trouble with our mom and our dad, our brothers, our sisters, is that you have a certain expectation, maybe multiple expectations in your mind of what you want mom and dad or brothers and sisters to do. And if they meet your expectations and they do what you want, you feel happy. But if they don't do what you want, you feel angry or sad or painful feelings, and you think they're trying to cause those feelings, or they are causing those feelings. So you might put your expectations on mom and dad, try to get them to do things your way. Or you might put them on brothers and sisters. So part of loving somebody as they are and loving them with this true love is to step back and not allow your expectations to burden this other person. As long as you do that, your mind is not going to be able to live harmoniously with all beings. You'll find that that's a really struggle, because in the mind, the unenlightened mind has certain expectations of things that it wants from somebody else. And it's requiring this person to do that in order for that person to stay comfortable in the relationship. But as long as you're putting your expectations on other people, this means other people are going to put their expectations on you. So you might find that you're in relationships right now where people are wanting you to be a certain way, and it makes you feel uncomfortable and you don't like it, right? But as long as you keep putting your expectations on others, you'll see that they'll put their expectations on you. So when you love somebody and you understand what true love is, which is to love somebody as they are and to love them without putting your expectations on them, you can love everybody in the world. You might disagree with somebody's choices and decisions that they make, but you can still love the person, right? Right now, you might not be able to do that. You might look at someone's choices and decisions, and if their choices and decisions are different than yours, you might find it really hard to love this person, because your mind is having certain expectations where you're wanting them to be a certain way. And when they do things your way, you get those pleasant feelings. But when they do a decision or make a decision that's different than what you make, you might really struggle. You might get angry or frustrated in that situation. And this is where the mind pushes people away, is bitter, harsh, and hostile, or put your expectations on people. But when you understand the universal truth of impermanence, which means everything around you is constantly changing and everything is different, then you will understand that not everybody's going to make decisions the same way as you. If you can only love someone who makes decisions the same way as you, you're only ever going to be able to love one person, because there's only one person in this world that makes decisions the exact same way as you. Do you know who that is? Yourself, right? You're the only one that makes decisions that way. So if you can separate the decisions that somebody makes from the person, then you can disagree with the decisions that somebody makes while still loving the person. You can get to a point where you see someone has murdered or raped or something like this, and you might disagree with the decisions that they've made, but you love the person. What love is, what true love is a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well. Active goodwill towards another being. Loving this person as they are. A genuine interest in seeing them be well. So someone could murder one of my family members, and I disagree with their decision, That's an unwise decision. But I can still love the person, because loving the person is having a genuine interest in seeing this person be well. And part of them being well is that, yeah, they probably need to go to jail. They probably need to go to prison. They need to get some education to improve their understanding of the world, and that it's very unwise to murder. But if you get angry or hateful towards that person who's murdered a family member, that doesn't solve anything. That's just plaguing your own mind. That's just causing you to experience all kinds of difficulties in life. You're not solving anything by being angry. But because your mind is attached to mom or dad, for example, and you're wanting them to be permanent, when they die, let's just say through a murder, now those painful feelings that you're experiencing, you're attributing to this person, that this person has caused these painful feelings, and now I'm going to hate that person. I'm going to be angry and bitter and harsh at them. But what's really causing this is the craving, desire, attachment. Now, of course, it's unwise to go around and murder, but you can disagree with a person's decisions while still loving the person. It doesn't mean you're going to go out to dinner with them. It doesn't mean you're going to send them flowers. It just means that you have a genuine interest in seeing this person be well. So this is a pretty extreme example just to help illustrate to you that you can love all beings. Where when you have this craving, desire, attachment masquerading as love, we might call that conditional love, even though there's no such thing as conditional love. True love is unconditional, that I just love you as you are. But if we call this craving, desire, attachment conditional love, that means if you meet all my conditions, I will love you. But if you stop meeting my conditions, if you stop meeting my expectations, I don't love you anymore. And maybe when you first got started with that life partner, you didn't have any expectations. That's why at the beginning of a relationship, it always goes so well. Everything's going so well at the beginning because you don't have any expectations of them and they don't have any expectations of you. The first few weeks, the first month or two, everything's wonderful. But then you start forming expectations. You start wanting things from them and they start wanting things from you. And now as time goes on, 6 months, a year into this, your expectations, you have a long list, they have a long list, and now neither one of you can meet each other's expectations. And these expectations keep changing over and over and over again as time goes on because of the impermanence. So as long as you're misunderstanding this craving, desire, attachment as love, you'll keep having these expectations. You'll fall in love and you'll fall out of love. You'll fall in love, you'll fall out of love. But that's not really love. You're falling into craving, desire, attachment, expectations, and wants. And you're falling out of craving, desire, attachment, expectations, and wants. It's not true love. What true love is this genuine interest in seeing this being be well. Love you as you are. I don't want anything from you. I don't expect anything from you. I'm just interested in sharing my love with you. And my love is, part of that is, don't put my expectations on you. Whatever decisions you make, completely fine with that. You like to get up and go to the bathroom? Get up and go to the bathroom. Go for it. You like to get up and leave the class? Okay, go for it. I still love you, right? What else? You got something else going on in your day? Go for it, right? By not being attached, by not clinging and holding on to people, when people come and go in and out of your life, you can maintain your joy, maintain your peacefulness. But if you have craving, desire, attachments in your mind, you can only be happy when somebody meets those expectations. So if you can practice unconditional love, where you love people as they are without expectations, you can love everybody before you even met them. I love you. I would like to see you be well. That's why I share these teachings. I would like you to be well. I don't want anything from you. I don't expect anything from you. I don't ask anything of you. I would just like to see you be well so I can love you before I've ever met you, right? And then there's nothing you can do for me to stop loving you. Doesn't matter what you do. I will still love you because my love isn't conditional. If my love was conditional, you'd have to meet my expectations. But because my love for you, that I have a genuine interest in seeing you be well, is unconditional. It doesn't matter what you do. I will always love you. That's what true love is, right? I don't advise you do this. But if you went out and murdered someone today and you called me from jail and said, hey, David, I'm having a really tough time. I need your help. Can you come see me? I'd come see you. I'd come help you. I'd give you advice. I'd give you guidance. I'd share these teachings of the Buddha with you, right? So when you have unconditional love, you can love people regardless of what they choose to do in their life, right? And this is the real power in a teaching like this, that you can now have much more fulfilling relationships, but you're going to need to learn how to do this because you probably didn't grow up this way. You probably didn't grow up in relationships where people were loving you unconditionally. Your parents probably have unconditional love in their mind, but it's tainted with these cravings, desires, attachments, wanting you to be a certain way. Of course, they love you, but they want you to work at this job, or they want you to have this boyfriend or this girlfriend, or they want you to have children, or they want you to live over here or live over there. People's expectations get in the way. There's true love in there potentially with your brothers and sisters and people like this, but it's polluted or tainted with this craving, desire, attachment that's masquerading as love. So when you get craving, desire, attachment more and more out of the way, then your true love can shine through more and more. And now people can experience that. And then you'll experience more and more true love coming back to you. So if you grew up in a home where people are constantly putting their expectations on you, and you kind of identified that as love, that might be what you're doing. You might be going around in your relationships, putting your expectations on people, and now thinking that that's your love. But if you can see what I'm sharing with you, and you can get more and more in touch with it, and using the tools and techniques of the Buddha to get rid of your craving, desire, attachment, your true love can shine through more and more. And now as you're practicing true love more and more with others, it will come back to you because that's what you're practicing. But it's going to take time for you to build up your practice, to be practicing it, and then for other people to experience that around you. And then when other people are practicing true love with you, then you'll be able to identify it, right? I've had different people come here at different times and hear me share this. And somebody came to me one time and said, I think I had a boyfriend one time that was practicing true love with me, but I didn't even realize it and I broke up with him. I would say to him, hey, I'm going to go to the movies. Would you like to come? And he's like, no, go have a good time. I'm fine. I'm going to stay at home. And I thought he didn't love me, so I broke up with him. Right? She didn't realize, no, he's completely comfortable with your decisions, and he's completely comfortable with you going to the movies alone. Sometimes he's going to join you and sometimes he's not, right? He's not trying to control you and wanting you to be a certain way. So you might not be able to identify true love when people are practicing it in your life, because what true love is going to feel like is somebody can be with you and they can be perfectly happy and joyful with you, but they can also be perfectly happy when they're away from you. If you have true love, when you have a partner and say they go on a business trip and they call you and they say, hey, honey, did you miss me? You're like, nope, I didn't miss you, right? That feeling of missing somebody, that's from your craving, desire, attachment. I can only be happy if you're with me. And when you're with me, I feel happy, but when you're away from me, I feel miserable. That's not true love. That's craving, desire, attachment masquerading as love. So we will tell somebody, I miss you, because we think that that's love, but that's not the actual love. That's the craving, desire, attachment. So if you're in a relationship with someone who's practicing true love and you go away from them and you say, hey, honey, did you miss me? They'll probably say no, right? Because they didn't, right? It's not that they don't love you. It's just that they are completely content, whether they're with you or whether they're without you. Their inner feelings aren't based on whether they're with you or not. If you have somebody that can only be happy when they're with you, they're going to be pulling on you. They're going to be pulling on you and wanting you to be with them all the time. But when you can be with a partner that doesn't have this attachment, then you can be free and you can go off and do all the wonderful things you would like to do in the world. They can go off in the world and do all the wonderful things they're going to do in the world. And then when you guys come together, you do wonderful things together. Like right now, I don't know where my wife is. I have no idea where she's at. I don't know what she's doing. I have no idea what her plan is. I don't know what time she's coming home today. But whatever she's doing, she's having fun. She's out there doing things for herself or for the family. Whatever she's doing, it's wise, it's helpful, it's beneficial, right? She's free to do whatever she would like to do. And I think she thinks that I'm at the temple. I think she knows that, but we didn't have any conversation to explain that what I was going to be doing today. She doesn't need to know every little detail about what I'm doing, and I don't need to know every little detail about what she's doing, because there's trust. Go do whatever you like to do. Go have fun. Right? Go do whatever you'd like to do in the world without any expectations from me whatsoever. So you can cultivate relationships in your life where you don't have this bitterness and this hostility towards each other. But in order to love others and practice this true love, you're going to need to learn how to love yourself. Okay, this is the next part of this, is if you don't know how to love yourself, this being who you are right now, you'll have trouble loving others. Because sometimes what you might have in your mind is this degrading and diminishing self-talk, this inner dialogue where you diminish yourself. And maybe you don't love yourself. So you're going to need to start learning how to do that, where you have this genuine interest in seeing this being be well, where you're not putting constant expectations on yourself. Because if you have expectations of yourself, when you fall short of those, you'll be angry and you'll be frustrated. But even if you meet your expectations are going to change. And now you're going to chase and chase and chase and chase and chase and chase. And then when you get those, you'll be happy for a period of time, but then your expectations will change again. So you're going to need to cultivate loving thoughts and feelings and this loving kindness towards this being. And there are certain tools and techniques that we use, which is loving kindness meditation. I'm going to be doing that this afternoon when we come back from lunch. For anybody who would like to stick around, I teach loving kindness meditation to be able to help you cultivate and kind of rewire the mind to have more love and kindness, this genuine interest in seeing yourself be well. You're going to need to have a good relationship with this being who you are. So take yourself out on a date. Go to the movies by yourself. Go to a nice restaurant. Spend a bunch of money on yourself. Go take yourself to a nice dinner. You would take a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife perhaps to a nice dinner, but will you take yourself to a nice dinner? Right? Go have dinner with yourself. Fall in love with yourself. There's no harm sitting in a restaurant by yourself. Some of you guys might be traveling alone. That's wonderful to travel alone. Fall in love with yourself. Because if you don't enjoy spending time with yourself, why would anybody enjoy ever spending time with you? Right? You're going to need to learn how to love and enjoy spending time alone. If you don't enjoy spending time alone, why would anybody ever enjoy spending time with you? If you don't even enjoy spending time with yourself. So by learning how to be alone, go to the mall alone, go to the gym alone, go to the movies alone, go to dinner alone, go for a walk in the park alone. This is wonderful for you. Fall in love with yourself. Oftentimes people don't like to be alone because they have to deal with their own thoughts. But if you train your mind and purify your mind, you'll start having more and more wholesome thoughts. Then you'd also like to develop love for parents and caregivers, because oftentimes, depending on how you were brought up, you might have certain expectations of your parents or caregivers. And now when they didn't meet your expectations, you might be angry or bitter or have animosity towards them. I predict that there's nobody in here that has agreed with every single thing your parents ever did. Is there anybody who has agreed with every single decision your parents ever made? That would be permanence. It's just not possible. So you have disagreed with certain decisions that your parents made. And if your love is contingent upon agreeing with everything your parents ever did, this is going to hinder you from being able to have true love in your relationship with your parents. So of course, your parents did things you disagree with. Right? That doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person or they've done anything wrong. In some cases, parents do things very unwisely, right? In some situations, they might have caused physical harm or some kind of other harm to us. But if it's just pure expectations, you can liberate your mind from those expectations, wanting them to be a certain way, and you can love them as they are. I grew up in an abusive family. I had different types of abuse growing up, and I had a lot of resentment and hostility for my parents growing up. They both died very young because of their anger and their bitterness and their hostility. My stepdad died when he was 63. My mom died when she was 66, very young, because they carried a lot of that with them throughout their life. That's the results of their decisions. And I was really bitter and harsh and hostile throughout my life, throughout my childhood, throughout my early adulthood. I had a lot of animosity myself, but I chose to do something different. I chose to train my mind. And I got to a point where, of course, I disagreed with a lot of the things that they did during my childhood. But I at least got to the point where I understood that they were struggling, they were making unwise decisions, and I didn't agree with everything they did, but I at least loved them for giving me this life. My biological father and my mother, at least they gave me this life, and they helped me to sustain this life, where they taught me how to eat, they taught me how to clothe myself, they taught me how to bathe and things like this. I went to school. I had certain things like that. But of course, I experienced all this abuse at different times in my life as well. But I was able to let that go because that doesn't define who I am as a person today, right? So I could love them as they are. I disagreed with the decisions they made in my childhood. As I got to adulthood, they stopped doing those things, of course, right? But I could at least get to the point where I appreciated that they gave me this life, because being in the human life is the most ideal existence you could have. This is an opportunity for you to now train your mind and get to enlightenment. And in terms of life partners, you might have certain life partners that you either have had in the past, or maybe you have now, or maybe you're single and you'd like to have a life partner. If you'd like to have a life partner, it's important for you to learn this true love. Learn how to practice it yourself so that then you can identify it when it's coming back to you. But also by you practicing true love, you'll then be able to experience true love coming back, because now in your relationship, you guys are both practicing true love. But if you're not practicing true love and you're putting your expectations on a partner, then your partner is going to be putting expectations on you, and now you guys are going to be stuck. But you can get into a relationship where both of you can work together to develop a harmonious relationship where you're never angry, you're never bitter, you don't have any arguments, you don't have any fights. Me and my wife have been together for 17 years. We've been happily together for 5 years. Right? It took us some time to figure this out, maybe 5 or 6 years. We've been happily together, right? So the first 11 years or so, there were some fights, right? There were some arguments, there were some difficulties because we had to figure this out. But as I did the work to train my mind and she did the work to train her mind, now for the last 5 or 6 years, no arguments, no bitterness, no hostility, no animosity. We've learned to not put our expectations on each other, not to try to control each other. Where before we would be fighting to the death. I was trying to convince her to do things my way, and she was trying to convince me to do things her way. This is the craving, desire, attachment. But when you get rid of that craving, desire, attachment, and you practice true love, you can sit down and you can have conversations. You can have discussions, and you can share. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I think would be wise. And then she can sit down and she can share what she thinks. And then we walk away from the table with whatever decision is the wisest. It might have been 100% her decision, or it might have been 100% my decision, or it might have been 90% her decision and 10% my decision. But nonetheless, when we walk away from the table, it's our decision. And now we both feel comfortable with that decision. But if you want things your way all the time, you're going to fight to death. You're going to advocate for your position. You're going to be fighting and having animosity and bitterness, and you're going to damage the relationship. So the Buddha provides other teachings on the Eightfold Path. This is the core central teaching. He teaches you how to train your mind. He teaches you it would be wise to interact with other people. And you would need to learn that in order to be able to practice true love. This topic here is just to clue you into what true love is. But earlier in this course on Monday, I taught the Eightfold Path. So if you haven't learned the Eightfold Path from me, you can, because there's recordings on YouTube, on the podcast. I have books, I have audiobooks. It's all available at no cost for you guys. If you would like to download any of the books that I write, they're free. You can download them from our website. You can take them and go print them if you like. You don't have to ask my permission. You can just go do that. If you'd like to get printed versions here at the temple, we just ask that you reimburse us for the cost. Or if you'd like to purchase them on Amazon, you can do it that way as well. But between the books or the free audiobooks, you can get access to them by the videos or the podcast, or coming to classes, courses, and retreats like this that are completely available for you at no cost as well. You can even get personal guidance, either here in Chiang Mai, or you can even meet me online through Zoom. There's a way for you to schedule appointments from our website. Slowly but surely, you can learn these teachings, implement them into your life, and then gradually, slowly but surely, you can experience more and more harmonious relationships. So I'm going to pause here. This is what I had to share with you guys on true love, and see if you guys have any questions on anything that I've been sharing. Let me know if you guys have questions here, or if you have questions online. For those of you guys online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or you can raise your hand in Zoom and ask any questions that you like. Anything you guys would like to ask questions about? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions online or here either. So it's basically about 10:30. So what I'm going to do is take a nice 20-minute break. We might as well just go ahead all the way to 11 o'clock, break to 11 o'clock. When we come back at 11 o'clock, what I'm going to share is practicing in a world of the unknowing, relationships with non-practitioners, because it's one thing to learn the teachings that your mind is causing your own discontentedness, and you can understand that and gain that wisdom. But then when you interact in the world with other people, they might think that you're causing them to be angry and frustrated and bitter. And you might notice that as you're becoming more and more peaceful in your life, other people aren't, and you might really struggle with this. So I'm going to give you guys some guidance on how to practice in a world where other people aren't practicing, whether it's your personal relationships or other relationships. You might be really struggling when people are angry and bitter and harsh to you. How can you solve this? So if you guys would like to take a nice break until 11 o'clock and then come back, and I'll pick it up here and teach you this. Okay, so thank you guys that are joined us for the morning. If you're leaving and not coming back, I understand. Perhaps I'll see you in a future class. You're always welcome to come to any of our classes here at the temple or those that we share online. And for those of you guys coming back, we'll start off at 11 o'clock. Okay, so have a very lovely rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Sawadee Khab. Sawadee Khab. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.